and I'm here at a pumpkin patch bash in our corn pit. You gotta come check it out, it's awesome. Let's get right to your questions. Debbie Dunn. Hi, Stephen. I have a rosemary plant that is doing well in a container in my yard. I'm considering bringing it indoors for the winter. What would I have to do to prepare it for indoor life, and how do I keep it healthy inside? Thank you so much. Well, Debbie, I think it's great you're going to bring a rosemary inside. It's a perfect house plant for the winter months. What I want you to do, though, is when you bring it inside, I want you to run it a little drier through the winter, and I also want you to put it in a south window so it gets lots and lots of sun. And you can keep that fed once a month. And then once the warm temperatures come next spring, bring that right outside, and you should do fine with it. Madonna Clayton asks, my rose, which were beautiful blooms for the past 2 years, didn't do as well this season. They now appear to be very leggy. Any suggestions? Well, Madonna, it's been a super, super dry summer, and I'm guessing that they weren't watered enough, and that caused them to become leggy. You might not have pruned them in a couple of years, and that could be another culprit to your problem. What I want you to do is just leave them now. It's too late in the season to prune roses. You want to prune roses 6 weeks before the last frost. So when you can prune them would be in April, and you're going to cut them way back. You can come back in and see us. We'll help you out with that. Cut them way back, fertilize them, and they should bush out really nicely again. Joe asks, hi, Stephen. I have a huge problem with stink bugs and squash bugs this year. Could you do a video on combating these insects? Well, Joe, from your comments, it appears you have a very large vegetable garden. So and you're trying to grow all these vegetables organically and not using any pesticides or chemicals, which I think is wonderful. But stink bugs and squash bugs can become a problem. What I think is going on is you might have some really wet areas around your house or around your garden in the wintertime. This is where those bugs are hibernating in the winter. So we want to get rid of that source of hibernation now, so next year they're not going to be there. So let's start with that. Any deep wells around your house, around windows, make sure they're nice and dry or covered. Any standing water or areas in your yard, get rid of all those areas, because wet areas are where these bugs hibernate. In the spring, you want to maybe put some traps out, or if I saw you did use neem oil, I would use that more consistently. Once you see your first bug, start spraying that once a week, and make sure you do it at night. Thanks for your question, Joe, and good luck with that. Kennedy O'Brien says, I have 2 common houseplants which are very leafy green and healthy, but they don't flower. They are Martha Washington geranium and a begonia. I have fertilized them and keep them well watered and plenty of sun. Is there something you recommend I should try to get them to bloom? Well, I think it's wonderful you're doing so good at those houseplants. What you're probably doing wrong is you're taking too good a care of them. Believe it or not, plants that are under stress will send out flowers, because that means they want to reproduce. So what I want you to do is cut back on the flowering, maybe cut back a little bit on the watering, and we're going to try and trick that plant to thinking maybe it's going to die, and that's going to make it want to flower, but we still want to keep it healthy growing. So kind of stress the plant out a little bit, and then let's push those flowers out. I also want to make sure that you have that in bright, bright, sunny light. Those plants like bright light, so if they're indoors, especially, you want them in a south-facing window. All right, Judy asks, hi, Stephen. I've had a boxwood in my yard for 4 years. A few weeks ago, I noticed the browning leaves, and I thought it was because of the drought. I cut out affected branches and watered profusely. Now the browning returned again. What can be done correctly with this problem? Thank you. Well, Judy, we have something out there in the boxwood world called Boxwood Blight. If you could bring a sample in, I got a good look at your picture, but if you could bring a sample in, or if you want to take it to the county extension office, they can identify it for sure. But if it is Boxwood Blight, then that plant is going to have a hard time recovering from it. This disease was brought in from another country. We're trying to battle it, just like the impatient downy mildew, where we had issues with that. So it's been ongoing. We're learning more and more about it each day. But if it does have that, then there's not really much you can do. So bring that piece in, or contact the Rutgers Extension Office, and they can help you further with that. Finally, Deborah, I have a grass plants in a big flower pot. I thought I transplanted them into the ground since they got too big. Found these guys in the pot. Grub worms? Yes, those are grubs for sure, Deborah. So what they'll do is they'll feed on the roots of your grass. So they might be in your lawn or in this ornamental grass you had. What I want you to do is start to look for them in the spring. If you start to see the grass not growing very well, that means those grubs are in the soil. So you want to put some type of grub control in there in the spring. Right now, those grubs are going dormant. They're not doing anything. They're not feeding. So you're wasting your time and your money on putting anything in the soil now. But there are some good grub controls out there in the spring that I want you to apply to that plant. Thank you guys so much for all those questions this week. I hope I answered them. Keep them coming on our Facebook page below, and have a great week.